We are forgetting the Thompson brothers, though. Like, we can't get past that. I feel like playing for OTE, though, no one's talking about them like we're talking about these guys who are either in college or in with the Ignite. So are you taking any of the Thompson brothers, though, if you have that pick? If you trade back, are you taking the Thompson brothers?
I've thought about this. Okay, I saw you talking, Anthony, but I have this on my mind just real quick. Like, if I'm at 4, I think I'm taking Jarris Walker out of Houston because I think that's a guy that's going to contribute day one, whether it's off the bench or as a starter. And that's what I want from a top 5 pick. Now, if I'm drafting 5 and Jarris Walker or Brandon Miller those guys are off the board, which they probably will be, I might take a chance on Amin Thompson because I get some Sean Marion vibes. But I also get I don't know if you guys remember this name, but DeMar Johnson, he played for like the Atlanta Hawks back in the early 2000s. Dude, same build, same length, came in as kind of like this multifaceted uber athlete on the perimeter, just like the Thompson guys. Couldn't shoot though, and he only played for like 6 or 7 years in the NBA. I don't want that. I think that's a real possibility for these guys. And I know people say, I think I got into it with me and Wes were talking on Twitter, and he was saying like, well, the defense is good. But if that's their only calling card and their defense is average, that's going to be kind of a problem as well. Like, if their defense is supposed to get them on the floor based on what they're doing in the OT, whatever league, I think it's OTE, that league that they're in. But I don't know how that transitions to the NBA because we're talking about professional basketball players in the NBA. Everybody's like in the top 2% of athletes in the world that play in the NBA. And, the league that they're in, that's not the case. So they might be really good defenders there, but how does that translate? I just think there's too many question marks for those guys, but the potential for them is through the roof.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking at a Thompson brother, you're probably looking at Osor over Amin.
Okay.
Just because the shooting is a little bit more consistent, in my opinion. But the thing is, like you kind of touched on it, Lance, is does Troy Weaver have the balls to draft somebody with potential again? Like we all know that he drafted Killian Hayes over Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
If you draft another, player that has potential and it doesn't kind of reach, I'm not saying Killian won't reach it, but he's not to the level of a Tyrese Halliburton. I think we can all agree there.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever be to that level. But that's the thing you have to ask yourself. Now, if we're between like 4 and 5, I'm really considering Cam Whitmore out of Villanova. I really like his game. I think a lot of people kind of just look over him, maybe because he's at Villanova, and you don't really see guys from Villanova get drafted that damn high. But their track record for players in the NBA, to me, I mean, you look at Josh Hart, you look at Jalen Brunson, even Sadiq Bey, they produce good NBA players, and I would bank on a Cam Whitmore being a very good NBA player if I'm into that 4 to 5 range. But I think, Mike, the Thompson twins are very good players. It's just I question, can they, reach their potential in the NBA? And if they can't, that would be kind of 2 stains on Troy Weaver's, draft record really early into his, Pistons career.
That's true, but it's also about trusting his vision. But again, this draft, I think it now comes to, you have your foundational pieces. What's your identity? And again, I don't want to be vague. I want to be able to have a take here, not just kind of like talk like vague, but it's just so questionable when you try to figure out what they're really doing here. And me personally, I love that because that means more value for this pick, more trade talks around that, because the Pistons are a question mark. Even if we hire somebody, who are we going to draft? Who are we? And Troy can use that to his advantage. And I think there's a reason we're stockpiling so many bigs right now. I feel like there's a bigger vision we're not seeing. And I don't know, I guess I'm at that level of trust with Troy outside of, the pick he had with Killian. I'm at that level of trust with him where I can see something. And I just don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, I'm not at the point where I'm going to question Troy Weaver just yet. Like, I mean, if he drafts the Thompson's twin at 3, I'd be like, oh, okay. I mean, you see something. I mean, I'm not an expert. I mean, he sees something that I don't. I would put a lot of trust and faith in him. But, man, if you see someone like Brandon Miller just pop off and you had a chance to draft him, that's going to make your stomach turn just a little bit.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. But I don't think – like he drafted Killian at 7 and Tyrese was, I think, 13th to the Kings.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to draft the Thompson brother with the 2nd overall pick or even the 3rd overall pick. I think if you're at 4 or 5, then it's a conversation. But I still think he might play the safe route, and that's why I mentioned Cam Whitmore. I would say he's probably the safest pick in the top 5 just because you know he'll produce.